Baku is the oil capital of South Caucasus, the city of oil and millions. This is how it used to be called in the beginning of the 20th century. Baku has attracted financial, intellectual, and creative resources of the whole country. It seems that only Ashiq art, the professional art of Azerbaijan hinterland, has remained outside of the orbit of its gravity until the 90s of the last century. What is saz? The history of this instrument goes back to the end of 15th, beginning of 16th century. At the time of Dede Gorgut, the ancient version of saz has been used. Starting from 16th century, the history of our great Ashiqs starts. Miskin Abdal, Gurbani, to Farganlı Abbas. His dastan Abbas and Gülgez is called the Shah of all dastans. Nowadays, with a mass migration of rural population to the capital city, many Ashiqs had moved to Baku. But even here, they still sing their songs about what comprises the essence of their art, about the highlands and rivers of their native land, about their simple sentiments and senses that cannot be constrained by sensibility, about their heroes and beautiful lovers. At the times of Shah Ismail and Köroğlu, the troops would be led by saz performer. They used to face the enemy with saz in their hand, to protect their motherland, to establish peace, not to shed the blood, but to plant flowers. In 16th century, with Shah Ismail coming to power, Azerbaijani language obtains the status of the state language. During his reign, the literary and artistic forms of the language started its development and enhanced the use of Azerbaijani language as Ashiq poetry art. Ashiqs were always coming in front of Shah Ismail's troops. They were carrying not swords but their poetry. Unlike the classical poets of Azerbaijan, who often composed their poems in Arabic or Persian, and in 20th century in Russian language too, Ashiqs at all time composed their verses in Azerbaijani language only. Saz is sacred. Where there is saz, there is no war. If there is a war, saz will stop it. Saz brings prosperity. Saz brings joy. Saz brings well-being. Even your saz sounds better if you play it well. Saz is our spirit. It is the road that takes us back to our roots. Sounds of saz embrace all Turkic world, from Altai mountains to Anatolia, from east to west. Saz is Köroğlu, Alpamış, Manas, Dede Gorgut. This is how great, how awesome saz is. I open my hands and call out to heavens. Let saz will be my God today. I pray God will forgive my blasphemy. I didn't call saz my God, but I worshipped him as one. I loved him as my Lord, because saz is ultimately sacred instrument of Azerbaijanis. Ancient saz had 3 strings. Later the number of strings increased to 5 and it has 8 strings now. Major fret, middle fret, king fret. In ancient times, saz consisted of just these 3 frets. Human mind would not be enough to develop it. It has to come from God. To become an Ashiq and travel the countries, one should have comprehensive knowledge. He should be good in his way of behaving and should have civility and politeness. He should be able to teach people the truth, to kill evil inside himself, refrain from ill emotions. He should do favors, good deeds in order for people to think highly of him. The wood for saz needs to be boiled for some time. Then we bend it on the form. The measures of saz are given here. We put it on the matrix and then cut in the size required. My father made lots of changes in the body of saz. The body of old instruments were made of 8 ribs. Therefore, the sound was not as good as players would want. The most essential part of saz is its fretboard. Old saz makers put the frets without any measurements. They would regulate frets based on the sound of the saz. However, this way you can only regulate the sound by the main frets. Auxiliary frets would not be accurate. I do it a bit differently. I use the table of measurements I have created myself. In the old times of my teacher Ashiq the strings for saz were wound around wooden bobbin. I have asked my teacher once why they were so shiny. He told me this was because they were made of silver. Now the strings for saz are made of nickel, and they wear out quickly and break easier. There are saz measurements for every 5 millimeters of fret board. There is the length of each fret. I've calculated the length of each fret with the precision of the tenth of millimeter. It's very important to follow these measurements in order to get a good sound. Ashiq art is well developed in the regions. Göyçe, Təbriz, Borçalı. From these regions, it has spread all over Azerbaijan. Everywhere where Azeris has historically lived in a compact mass, whether it's the southern Caucasus or eastern Anatolia or Iran, they were the sources of Azerbaijani Ashiq culture. Today, the art milieus of Shirvan, Gencebasar, Borçalı, as well as the schools of Iranian southern Azerbaijan, has kept their artistic traditions. Despite their regional diversity, they constitute the one artistic tradition united by the national language, by the common poetical and musical repertoire, and with the unchangeable attribute of Azerbaijani Ashiq, his saz. Ashiks used to go from one village to another, from one region to another. They would attend weddings and parties wherever they saw the gathering. Ashiks would come without invitation. They were welcomed everywhere. Sometimes the gatherings were not of festive kind. In this case, the saz would remain in its black cover, which was called shirt. There is a saying, if saz comes out of the shirt, there will be a festivity. I play my saz with my heart and soul. Even with closed eyes, I know where each fret is. This is a gift God has given me. Many people say that saz gets out of tune after some time. They should know that string has its life, which comes to an end at some point. Did you change the strings? Give it a try. I will give you a small example from Yanıq Kərəm. In the past, this is how they performed in its classical form. I played you this small piece. Then Adalet Nasibov arranged this piece differently, and this is how it sounds now. The mountains were there since the world has been created. In summer, the beautiful girls were wandering around. In winter, it was the place where the deer would gather. I grew old away from my home country because I have been exiled from my motherland. For 75 years, I have been playing saz. Saz became my profession. The possibility of inscription of Ashiq art to the representative list of UNESCO has excited Ashiq community as well as the whole society. In August 29, 2008, Ashiqs from all the regions of Azerbaijan, as well as Georgia and Iran, has gathered in Baku for their 5th Congress. From the tribunes of Congress, the value of Ashiq heritage, the perspective of its revival were discussed by the Ashiqs, by the scientists and the members of Azerbaijan parliament.